your TV sounds funny in the evening, you're watching live from Studio 6B on Real America's Voice.
All right, live from Studio 6B, Real America's Voice on a Monday night. Welcome to the program. Dish Network, Channel 219, Pluto TV, Channel 240, Samsung TV Plus, my favorite platform, 1175, Roku TV, Apple TV. You can also catch the show on Amazon Fire TV as well as Select TV, Channel 106. The chats are always open. Join us on the socials, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, Kick, Getter, Instagram, you name it. We're on them all. Just go on there, join the communities, say hello. And, of course, we like to chime in as well as often as we can throughout the show and see how you guys are doing. Always a great big family of nice people on the chats. And again, welcome to the program on a Monday. You may be looking at your TV saying, I thought this was going to be funny. I only see two of you. Well, yeah, Damon's running a little bit late. He's going to be joining us probably around the 8:30 mark. In the meantime, you're stuck with myself and Paul Nolan.
And Slick Rick is bathing in a 30-foot glass slipper.
Yes.
He's in like the Hollywood Motel.
Somewhere in Minneapolis on his Purple Rain Parade pilgrimage that he does every year.
I'm going to tell you, Friday night, I felt like we missed him.
Yeah, we did.
It was a great show, but we missed his his little quick wisecracks. It wasn't the same without him.
Exactly. So he'll be joining us. He'll be back on Wednesday, Paul.
Yeah, good.
So that'll be good.
And I'll be out Wednesday, so got a golf trip with the fellas up in the mountains.
All right, very good. But you're here tonight,
and I'm just hoping they don't burn the mountains down because at one point it might have been it might have been. Cherokee land, so who knows? They'll burn down the mountains.
How was your weekend?
It was great. Good family weekend. I got a lot done. We had I want to just thank the Belmore Patriots. If you guys are out there and you are still on Facebook and using that crappy platform, the real Belmore Patriots have a good group and they share news, but these people did a lot for the America First Warehouse, and they really did a lot for our show, and they're good dudes and gals. They're very patriotic, so if you want to check out their page, maybe you'll tell them LFS6B sent you, and maybe you can build their page up a little bit. Facebook did beat them up a bit, but there was a rally, and me and KDJ went and we spoke.
Oh, you did go?
And it was nice, and it was just... a lot of people really in support of the January 6th prisoners who got completely railroaded.
Yeah, and we had a couple of them at the show on Friday night. Shane and Sarah joined us.
They were both there, and Shane gave his testimony of the hard life he had and how he turned to Christ and how he's just living his life serving. And, you can see he wants to make a difference, and he's doing a really nice job getting the message out there because nothing's more heartfelt than a true testimony. And this is a guy who was talking about they wouldn't give him nail clippers or a haircut for over a year. He had no rights to. Meanwhile, the Muslim guys were allowed to get haircuts whenever they wanted because of their religious freedom. They weren't allowed a chaplain. They were not allowed a church service. They weren't allowed a Bible. They were restricted everything that their basic human rights, and but different set of laws for anybody else who was in there. And they labeled this young man a tier 1 terrorist on the same level as Osama bin Laden and Timothy McVeigh. And if you get a chance, I will try to. Hopefully, we could post his video of what he went through. And he's a compelling guy, and I wish him the best. And Sarah was terrific as well, a real warrior. Her husband got railroaded for almost 3.5 years as well. So it was gut-wrenching to say the least.
Yeah, definitely. But you know what? They came through the other side.
They came through the other side. Yep. They're better. They're stronger. And it's nice to see that there's some comeuppance on the way. And we do understand that they have some good lawyers, and they are in the middle of a lawsuit. And with any luck, the way the government gives out money to absolute low-life criminals, on the George Soros team, let's see what happens about some of these people who lost so much. And they gave, but just walking peacefully through it. And forget about some of the guys who were crazy and violent. And this kid was openly admitted that when he saw that, someone getting beaten to death, he got involved and put his hands on a cop. He openly admitted he deserved to be punished, but not at the extent at which he was. So, He said that. By the way, did he tell you as well that he was while he was in the DC Gulag, he watched LFS 6B on tablets with other guys that served this nation. A lot of Green Berets, a lot of military men and cops, and
who got swept up in all of it.
Yep. And he said that our show gave him a lot of laughs and hope. So it's nice to be able to do a little something.
I'm glad we were able to do our part, however small it might be.
Minuscule.
Yeah, and it's interesting that we have Shane and Sarah show up on Friday, and they talk to the audience as well. Got on, we put the mic in front of them with Kevin, and then you flash forward to yesterday, and what do we see? Peaceful protesting breaks out in L.A., didn't it?
Well, yeah, it was nice. It was very peaceful.
It was peaceful protesting all Sunday long. It was one. You know what? I've got a clip for you, Paul.
Well,
so we can show you what the insurrection of January 6th looked like versus the peaceful.
Yeah,
protesting.
I sent this clip as well. The
peaceful protesting is just so peaceful, and you could tell the difference just by looking at it. Here it is, cut number 3. There you go.
Honey, stay inside the velvet ropes.
There's that those crazy insurrectioners just walking through, not destroying anything, versus the peaceful protesters in L.A. I guess that's going to be the focus of this show tonight because it's the biggest story in the world. And it's a replay of the Summer of Love. The Summer of Love, Paul.
Yeah, the Rent the Riots, the Summer of Love, these well-funded, well-organized sham jobs of a protest are laughable. The thing that kills me is I watched a lot of footage today. The thing they kept saying was, this is our land. You occupied it. You can't tell us to leave our land. Where they're getting these talking points are absolutely, it's clearly obvious. And the fake accents on some of them. I mean, there are a lot of paid protesters in this thing. It looks extremely choreographed and orchestrated on top of the morons just falling in line.
Right. And then you've got the, jumping on your point of the, these are occupied lands. Really? It's amazing how liberals and lunatics like these people always love to pick up the story halfway through. They never go right to the start. Who was here actually before it was occupied by the quote-unquote native Mexicans? It was probably occupied by people before that they actually killed to take over that land. Yeah. They'll never tell you that because that's the inconvenient truth of the history of the entire world. There's always been somebody there first before it became what it became.
Well, look, fun fact, folks, the Mexican-American War was from 1846 to 1848, and a treaty was signed to give the land to the United States, and the states were gracious enough to give Mexico $15 million, which they probably didn't have to do. So it's not stolen land, you dingbats. No. Grow up and get out if you don't like it.
Yeah.
You want Mexico? You want us to be like, go ahead. I don't want to hear it no more. I've had it. I'm so glad there's a grown-up in the White House. And I got to be honest, at this point right now, I don't care about optics. I can care less about any of it at this point. I want to find out who's funding these people. I want them held accountable. I'm like full Al Capone right now. I want the bookkeeper. I want him dead. I want to burn his house to the ground. I'm like at the point right now, I'm boiling over the stupidity of Antifa still having these Rent the Riot losers still doing the same nonsense that they always do. I am fed up with it.
Right. And you know what? The L.A. police chief admits that the anarchists and Antifa are part of this. They're the paid protesters. They're the ones in there causing the problems. Got 12. He actually admits it. So there's no it's just it's just organic. It's not organic. These people are being paid. They're being deployed. They come from other places. They destroy where you live. If you're an LA resident, guess what? Chances are a lot of this violence and destruction is being caused by people who don't live there because they don't care. It's not their house. Cut number 12. Listen to the LAPD chief himself. Cut 12.
But when I look at the people who are out there doing the violence, that's not the people that we see during the day who are legitimately out there exercising their First Amendment rights and to be able to express their feelings about the immigration enforcement issue. These are people who are all hooded up. They've got a hoodie on. They've got face masks on. They're people who do this all the time, get away with whatever they can, go out there, from one civil unrest situation to another, using the same or similar tactics frequently, and they are connected. Some would call them anarchists or by any other variety of names, but they're people that we run across routinely city to city, and this is what they do. So even more disgusting that many of the people who are doing this come in from other places just to hurt people and to cause havoc.
Yeah, exactly. And again, acknowledged by the L.A. police chief there in that clip. And you know what really set me off this morning? I got set off. I don't know how early you got set off, Paul.
Yeah, 7 a.m.
I was set off at about 6:45. I beat you by 15 minutes.
Oh, great.
And it was because of this one person that I work with. I'm not going to say his real name, but it rhymes with Tykel, or Tyke for short. You might get that. Who said, much like the L.A. mayor, that it's the as the way he put it, I can't believe they sent the National Guard in it. That's why this happened. So and it's a typical liberal talking point, is they blame the people that they have to call in times of emergency to respond to the emergency. They're blaming the people that they had to call to bring in to quell the violence because people were out of control. They're saying it wouldn't have happened if they didn't call in the National Guard, but they forget that, oh, that's right, the L.A. mayor gave the police a stand-down order not to engage the protesters or the rioters, and they don't acknowledge the fact that things were already on fire. Trucks, cars, people were already being hit with bricks and bottles by the time the National Guard got called in.
You know, and you look at the way they handled that fire in L.A. and forget about all of the donations, hundreds of millions of dollars in donations that are making it nowhere. No one can get to. It's one scam fund after another. Forget about that side of it. But now on top of this, you had fire chiefs getting fired because they said anything that didn't go directly in line with the mayor and the governor. And Newsom has been nothing short of a disaster. And now we'll get to it in the next segment. Trump is talking about legitimately like creating an arrest warrant for Gavin Newsom. There's so much rhetoric going back and forth about how this is going to get handled. To me, I don't think anybody in their right mind watching this cannot see a replay of the same BS we watched in Minnesota. We watched it in Chad and Chaz or whatever you wanted to call that Summer of Love. We're watching the identical playbook. And in fact, we're also watching the same stuff we saw January 6th, all of the paid provocateurs. And I said it from Jump Street. This is Agent Provocateur 101. And here we are seeing it again, next level. Yes. Sorry.
Hey, Damon's here. Hey, Dame.
Want to wrap up the segment?
Sure. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll do more with, of course, the biggest story in the world. Damon, did you know what that was?
Nope.
It's the LA riots. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about RFK. We'll talk about I got a great clip for you, Paul, on something else that I think you'll totally enjoy, having to do with Pfizer, the CBDs, and all that stuff. The UN Agenda 2030, all that stuff coming up. Live from Studio 6B, Real America's Voice. Stay there.
Hi, D.
What's up, Paulie?
Hi, Damon.
What's up, Rick?
I didn't curse.
Nice. Made it a segment.
Yeah, I didn't curse in the opening segment.
Wow. Good job.
And the worst thing about it is I've made such a conscious effort. When I broke the IFB, we got caught off air. That was not really. And then the other one
doesn't count.
The other one definitely counts.
Oh yeah.
But it wasn't. It was just a mistake. Let's leave it at that.
They're always
Hi,
a
chat.
mistake.
How's the chat?
So what's the deal with Ben Bergquam, Aaron? What'd you guys decide? I mean, we could do him anytime, honestly. I
love that guy.
I mean, I don't know what the action's like out there, but we could take him.
I'd love to talk
as
to him
much
at
as we
8:30.
could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we all talk to him?
I don't know if he's on the streets or where he's at, but yeah.
What's up, chat?
Chat.
The one thing about going live in the at the warehouse, it's hard to get to the chat, so I want to want to get it. Oh, look at all the we Drake Black pumping in some cash. Look, he's $100. Drake Black, holy guacamole! Your new homework.
That's a lot.
Watch Winston Marshall's interview with R.R. Reno and the post-World War II consensus. It's not a conspiracy you're seeing. It's bureaucracy in its death throes. The future won't care about the World War II legacy, just as you don't care about the French and Indian War. Bob Boom. Nothing, no true words, and that's why they continue to hide history of World War II in the schools today. They just want to hide it. Great job. Oh, my God, Michael Robertson.
That is dead on, by the way. Drag
$50 there. Split this with Shane, boys. Oh, wow. Wow, thank you, Michael. Okay, and then the last one, you want to read this? Another $100. Joe in Las Vegas. For Batman and Robin, the dynamic duo of LFS6B, Joe and Angela in Las Vegas. You guys are way better than Damon. In fact, maybe you should ask Damon to go and spend the next No, that's not being.
No, that was your ad lib.
I'm just kidding. I keyed. But wow, very generous. Can't thank you guys enough.
Man, we're off and flying.
Couldn't appreciate it more.
That's gonna be a good.
Guys, can we rock the like button? Last show we only had like 310. We got it. The algorithm wants us. I think
That's gonna
once
be
it
a
gets
good
over 450,
Pizza
it starts
Friday.
to make a difference. So if you guys can hit the like, we'd be grateful for that.
Good Pizza Friday coming.
$17 past the hour, live from Studio 6B on a Monday night. Glad you're in. Delgado's going to do the news. Paul Nolan's got the news. I want to thank the boys for opening the show. The first segment, my daughter got inducted into the National English Honor Society tonight.
That's fantastic.
Very nice.
I was there.
Congratulations.
To see her take the stage and get her award, and she did a nice job. Congratulations to her.
That's great, dude.
So now
Congratulations.
is she teaching you all how to speak English at home?
She's trying.
Good.
She's going to need a couple awards to do that. But no, good for her. And she's a pretty busy girl, so she's keeping her grades up, which is the most important thing. So proud of her. 17 past the hour, live from Studio 6B. And as you guys were discussing in the first segment, obviously the big news is what's going on in L.A. with the communist do-nothing invited this in governor and the communist do nothing invited this in mayor, both who will do nothing about this because this is their constituency and they will do nothing about it. And people who I hear in the media talking about the president and what powers he has and whether the government is somehow escalating. No, the rioters are escalating this.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
The rioters are escalating this. Paul has it dead to nuts. This is exactly the replay of the Summer of Love. This is exactly the I don't know, you want to call it a test. This is going to see how far they can push this and what's going to be the next 4 years of the Trump administration.
It's the playbook.
I truly believe and forgive me for interrupting you.
No.
I just truly believe they are doing, because they know middle America is fed up. I really believe they're doing everything in their power to create a civil war. I think they're trying, because I don't know if you guys are following this, but there's nokings.org. Have you followed this? Have you seen what's going on that? I think on the 14th, on the day that Trump plans, there's his birthday, there's over 1,000 rallies planned across America. So I'll get to that later in the show, but I believe it's just, I believe they're deliberately trying to provoke middle-class America to get in the streets and fight back.
And if this is correct tonight, I see, and I don't know this person on X, the General MC News, but they have from about, I guess it was a couple hours ago, hundreds of U.S. Marines have been officially mobilized for the L.A. riots and are set to join the National Guard units deployed under President Trump's orders.
Yeah, I heard it was 700.
And if that's the case, good.
And I heard 500.
Because these people need to be put down and put down mercilessly. There can be, it has to be, you know, people forget, and I saw this today, George W. Bush, H.W. Bush, not George W., the father, he sent in the Marine Corps with the use of lethal force in 1992. The military and the police shot 9 people dead during those riots. put those people in the morgue, and guess what? The riot stopped. And people you don't hear anyone in the media talking about that.
No.
You don't hear anyone in the media talking about John F. Kennedy doing this. You don't hear people talking about other presidents who have used this force, who have used this authorization that they clearly have, the president has. These are federal officials, federal law enforcement. These are federal buildings. And the president needs to show absolutely no mercy, and these people need to be put down in a violent, extreme way. Is the only way for this to ever stop, is for them to go in there. And if the Marines are I saw a former Marine on there saying, hey, the rioters in L.A. don't know what they're in for if they're going to send the Marines in, because the place they're going to send the Marines from, usually these guys, he says, are sitting around and they've got a lot of pent-up anger. And he said they will have no problem going there and doing what needs to be done. You rioters in L.A. don't know what you're wishing for if the Marines are coming.
Right.
Because they're not coming to play games.
Right. Those Marines are trained to chew bubblegum and kick butt, and they're all out of bubblegum.
Yeah, they are not coming in.
That's like my favorite sweater.
Playing any games.
But it has to do with cookies and something else. I'll leave it there.
Now, Data Republican, who's gotten a lot of attention, I think we were on to her pretty early on how good her stuff is. And obviously now she's blown up since then on the election and everything else. She has a thread tonight about who's behind this, who's behind the anti-ICE riots in Los Angeles. She says this clear, obviously, it wasn't spontaneous outrage. This is organized, funded, coordinated. Here's a breakdown of the groups, the money, and the people pulling the strings.
Boy.
Patience, as I've assembled this thread and I verify the information in real time. A number of NGOs, she says, have been implicated in this. Foremost is something called the Coalition for Humane Immigration Rights, or CHIRLA. And the photos of signs show they were printed by PSL Web, Party for Socialism and Liberation. CHIRLA has the EIN number of whatever, and she gives the EIN number. Most of its private funding appears to be from DAFs, which are the hardest to trace. However, 34 million of its reported 45 million in revenue are from government grants. In their most recent year, CHIRLA jumped from 12 million to 34 million in government grants. That's nice work if you can get it. However, this is probably from CA, only 450,000 in federal grants, so most of it from California. These are their two federal grants, both completed, now moving on to PSL Web. The group which printed the signs for the protest, Party for Socialism and Liberation, is not a nonprofit. They are a literal communist party. Finding financials is tricky, but I did a WikiLeaks reference to Answer Coalition. Answer Coalition is mentioned on their Wikipedia page to have significant financial overlap with them. It is tough to find backings on either group as they do not have a nonprofit associated with them. Both claim to be funded entirely by their members. However, I did find a New York Post article claiming that both are funded by billionaire socialist Neville Singer. And I've heard that name multiple times today. Neville Singman, activist who became a billionaire by pushing Chinese propaganda worldwide. Singham also financed the People's Forum, giving it over $20 million. All three Singham-financed organizations were also heavily involved in the Columbia protests on campus. The Service Employees International Union of California president got arrested. I researched their financials, but they're mostly dues backed. And so she goes on, and this Neville Singham guy seems to be the common thread in a lot of things I read. But it is absolutely the playbook of what we saw in the Summer of Love, the stacks of bricks that magically appear.
Truly astounding they get away with that.
But what's most astounding in these first days is not surprising, though, of course, is the media's ability to try to play this down. And I don't know if you guys have seen this supercut. Starts with Dana Bash at CNN. Hopefully we have audio here.
The LA County police say that they have it under control.
At what point? At what point did anybody think the LA police themselves said they didn't have it under control?
Right. They were given standing orders.
Moron.
Liar.
Prostitute.
By the way, why do these guys come to this country waving the flag? Why don't they just stay at the play? If they love the flag so much, they hate ours. Why is it they come here and stand on top of burning cars and wave their flag?
Because
why don't you go home and wave your flag? Get the hell out of here.
If they do that, Damon, they'll get shot by the cartels who don't want any violence in the street unless they cause it.
How do you think it would go for us if we sneaked into their country and waved our flag? You'd be dead in about 36 seconds.
It's crazy. These people, they're only in California. People think that ICE is scarier than MS-13. How is this possible?
Well,
yeah, I'll play this.
The Dana Bashes of the world.
We'll play Dana Bash of the world and the rest of her cohorts and the scum media when we get back right after this, live from Studio 6B.
Chat, live in the chat. Let's see what's going on.
Check. 1, 2, testing 1, 2.
That sounds like a Ben Bergquam.
Check. 1, 2.
Howdy in the YouTube chat. Doyle Cole,
What's
Jesus
up, guys?
Perez, Mike Genman, Alvin
up,
is in
buddy?
there. STT Patty, Tracy Morgan. The Tracy Morgan? I love Tracy Morgan. I won't get you pregnant. Les Durham, Woodrow's in there. Mr. V.
Okay.
Lorraine Donato's in there. Jennifer C. Cat SB. M. Harp. That's in the YouTube. In the YouTubes. Racing Banshee, Lala Laura B, Farmer Brook, Rocky Ferrara, Donna Thompson, Nancy Burns, Jolene Moore, Gary Haas. Those are names you might be familiar with in the Twix chat if you're over there. Mitch Kaufman. Racing Banshee and Super Cymatic have reposted the stream, Damon. Thank you for doing that. KC58, Jolene Moore. Lawrence Hildner. A lot of familiar names. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Congratulations for your daughter. $5 super chat. Grateful for that.
Sandy Lyle in the Rumble chat.
Let's get to these.
In the Rumbles.
YouTube, we got TikTok, we got Gary S, we got Ben, we got Steve Smith.
Drake 99.
We got Vicky, Julie, Chris D. What's up? And we got New Jersey girl. How you doing over there?
Jethro TXK, Marty Kin, and Astrotech 2 in the Rumble chat. Along with RD Bull, Sandy Lyle, and Drake 99. Drake 99. Joed Jr. Rush the Band. Rush the Band is in the chat, Paul.
Nice.
Yeah.
right, 30 minutes past the hour, live from Studio 6B on a Monday, June 9th. Real America's Voice. Rick Delgado's here. He's going to do the news. Paul Nolan's got some news as well. Slick's off, obviously, till Wednesday. He's on his whatever the hell he's doing in Minnesota, trying to find Prince or something. I have no idea. He'll be back on Wednesday. Aaron and Fran holding it down as always. Let's go live right now out to Los Angeles. Our own Ben Berkwam is on the ground. Mr. Berkwam, first of all, hope you're staying safe. It looks like you're, I'm not sure where you are there. We'll set the scene. Where are you and what's going on?
Well, back in the communist state of California, by the way, speaking of terrible reporters out there, we've got the Communist News Network, Erin Burnett, hanging out back over there. So keep an eye out for her. But I'll step out of the shot here real quick.
I'm sure she thinks it's real peaceful over there, too. Erin Burnett.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they're declaring it. So far, it has been. They haven't started burning the cars yet. But we're behind the police barricade. They've already given a dispersion order about 30 minutes ago, and nobody's listening. So these guys, finally, we've got a response from the state. While President Trump is bringing National Guard in, you've got the sheriffs and a lot of different law enforcement agencies out here. But right now, they're just basically on standby. But they've got their less than lethals ready to go, their pepper balls and everything else. So I'm looking forward to some fireworks. Hopefully, these spoiled children get the spankings that they deserve.
Well, that's what we were saying, Ben. Here you have a U.S. city that's being burned down. You have federal buildings. You have federal employees, police, National Guard, being attacked, being burned down on behalf of people who are not even supposed to be here. Clearly seems well-funded,
Yeah.
well-coordinated. We talked a little bit about that. But just besides all of that, it does seem to me that this is also, in some respects, some kind of a test to see how, kind of see where the perimeter is of how far they can push. We saw this in the first Trump term, in the summer of love, all that. This seems like, maybe not an exact playbook, but it seems very close. And to me, the president has to continue to just have no mercy here. The report looks like you have some movement there.
Yeah, they're moving out.
The report is that the Marines are coming in too. About
moving
500
them out.
Marines have been mobilized. What's going on?
Yeah, so they're moving them out. They've declared it an unlawful assembly, and so the police are pushing out. Again, we're back on this side. We'll see if the tear gas ends up getting deployed. But you're right. Look, this is a continuation of the first 4 years of President Trump, where we had BLM and Antifa burning down our country. Now you have this unholy alliance between BLM, Antifa, these jihadists, the Palestinians, and now 15 to 20 million illegals that they've weaponized. All of this, as we're walking, right to my right is actually the ICE building. That's what we're outside of right now. That's where this is all stemming from. But this isn't about ICE so much as it's about destroying America. That's what this entire movement is about. You've got communists, jihadists, anarchists, all working together to destroy this country from within. And you've got politicians, somebody's throwing, looks like we got rocks and bottles being thrown across the way. So it's definitely, it's kicking off as we speak. But this is a well-coordinated, well-funded movement. This isn't accidental. And this isn't even all these little scumbag Antifa thugs and all these little illegals out here. This is the Democrat Party. These are the brown shirts for the Democrat Party. These are the brown shirts for CNN and MSNBC so they can continue to push their lies. This is what the Democrats have become. And the sad reality is, right behind me, right there in the distance, that is City Hall, where Karen Bass has the nerve to come out and say, well, President Trump, we don't need you. The police can do it. Well, the truth is the police could do it if they were actually allowed to do their job, which they weren't for the first 3 days. And this is just the beginning, guys. You're right, Damon. This is about testing how far they can push it, how far they can go, and ultimately, this is just the beginning of what I anticipate for the next 4 years. It's all connected to the judicial tyranny that we have with the judges. It's all connected to the ICE raids that we have going across our country. It's all connected to the LGBT transgender mafia, this intersectionality idea. It's all about destroying this country from within and remaking it into the communist utopian vision they've always had.
Yeah. You know, people who say, Ben, that the president, you know, this is that somehow the government is making this worse, not the rioters themselves who are making this worse. And what we're seeing here is the president doesn't have the authority. I mean, we've heard all kinds of stuff, that this is out of bounds, that this is that, this is this. You know, people forget, and they compare it to 92. The riots in L.A., and they say this is nowhere near as bad. You know, riots are riots. Rioters are rioters. Scum are scum, and they're going to act the same way. George H.W. Bush, if you remember back then, he sent in the U.S. Marine Corps back then with the use of lethal force in 1992. They shot, I think, 9 people dead. And really put these people down, and that's when this thing stopped. And I feel like that's what the president's going to have to do. Yeah, keep going. We'll follow you, Vin. We'll follow you and just take it in as it happens.
Let's go to the middle. Yeah, and we're just moving over to the other side. We'll have a vantage point. Just coming in the middle. Yes, sir. We'll have a better vantage point over here. We just don't want to get in the cops' way. But no, this is. And by the way, to your point, just look at the number of foreign flags we have out here. This is a culmination of 40 years of teaching our kids in these communist schools in California that America is this terrible country. I just heard some sort of canister explode back there. So you've got all these people waving their foreign flags, their Mexican flag, a Honduran flag. You got the Palestinian flag. You got the communist sickle and star and sickle. All of this on American soil, because we've had 40 years of communism being taught in our schools. Yep. And now this is what you have. You have an outgrowth to where you've got a generation of young people that hate this country. And that even if it wasn't violent, which we know, we had the Summer of Love, they burned down America, they killed a lot of people. Even if it wasn't violent, this is a cancer in our country. And if we don't uproot this cancer from our society, if you hate America, you are a cancer and you need to go. And I don't care if you're an American citizen or an illegal alien. If you hate this country and your objective is to overthrow it, you got to go.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We can't be... We can't be Britain, right? We can't be France right now. We need to put this down, and we need to put it down violently, and we need to put it down swiftly. Paul, what was your question for Ben?
Well, to me, I feel like this has been a coordinated effort. We thought it was coming. That they're trying to provoke the middle class and the MAGA right, and the people who are just sick and tired of these coordinated efforts to come out and fight back and create civil war. I almost feel like the algorithm and the intention is to get blood in the streets and then somehow or another frame it that it's white racist extremists to fault here.
No doubt. It's the same thing they did with Proud Boys. So
take it full, Aaron.
Trump's first administration, in Trump's first administration, I was out there when the cops stood down. It was the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers were the only ones that were standing. Yes, sir. That were standing up against. That were doing the police's job. Hang on a second. We're just moving to a spot where we're...
do you think?
We're with Ben Bergbaum, live from Studio 6B. We're taking this live. We're just going to stay with Ben as it happens here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is... But you had cops that stood down, and you had a contingent of patriots in this country who stood up and said, if the cops won't do it, we will. That's where the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers came from, and thank God for them. Then you had January 6th, and a lot of those guys got put in prison. A lot of that was about silencing and shutting down the only people that had America's back when the cops were told to stand down. Now we're back in a position where we need those guys again. But you're right. I think part of that is they want that so then they can see, look, like you said, all of these racists, it's all the same lies they push from the beginning. They're fascist, they're racist, they're xenophobic, whatever, all these things. Actually, they're the ones that are actually xenophobic. But all of this is happening to be able to throw a counter message and say, oh, look, see, Trump's overreacting, MAGA's overreacting, they're the violent ones. Yep. These are the ones that don't believe in the Constitution. These are the fascists, when in reality, everything they say is a reflection of themselves.
Right. Yeah. Yep. And again, this is a party right now that firmly believes that deportation is wrong. This is a party that supports this. This is a party that feels like this is their constituency. This is a party whose goal is to bully ICE out of these cities. This is what the Democratic Party is right now. This is their people. This is why you have Bass, you have Newsom, who will do nothing about this, who invite this. The Biden administration invited all these people in here. California aided and abetted that to happen, and this is the result.
Yeah.
Look at this.
And now you're seeing,
Yeah.
I guess
Hey,
the
by
rocks
way,
are starting to
here.
fly.
Yeah. So they just threw this rock, by the way. Came and hit my foot. But that's what these guys are. You're right. That's what it is. This is
Hey,
an outgrowth of
disgusting.
the left in America.
Hey Ben, real quick, do you have
But it is.
access to a helmet for your own safety?
I don't.
No, seriously. If a rock just hits you in the
but I
foot,
probably should get one.
yeah.
I probably should get one.
And another question. Let me ask you this.
Yeah, Ben, don't pay attention to the camera. Pay attention around you so that you
Right.
stay safe. Don't worry about looking at us.
Head on a swivel,
Yeah.
my friend.
By the way,
Do you see any?
By the way, God bless these guys. Show these guys over here, Eric. Give a shot of our sheriffs that have come out, actually finally doing their job when a lot of them got stand down orders to begin with. Now they're finally out here.
Now, have you seen any? Have you seen maybe water cannons being put into position?
I haven't seen any water cannons, but they all have
Okay.
the tear gas canisters and the paintball or the CS gas guns. So it's
Ben, any talk about, you're seeing reports that the Marines are being mobilized to respond, which I think brings a whole different level to this. Of course, for them I think for them to do anything, my understanding would be they're not going to conduct any law enforcement activity. The president would have to invoke the Insurrection Act for them to really fully get involved. Is that your understanding as well?
Yeah, but I do know the Marines are coming, so we've got explosions going on. It looks like some fireworks. They're shooting fireworks into the police. So the Marines are on their way. We know that. When they get here, we don't know for sure. It's going to be sometime either tonight, late tonight, or tomorrow morning, is what we're hearing.
All right, Ben. We only got a few minutes. We only got a few minutes here. We're going to let you take. We're going to take 3 minutes. We're going to hit the commercial break. Let you get repositioned and make sure you're safe, and then maybe we'll come back to you.
Roger. Yep. We'll be ready.
All right, let's do that. Let's let Ben take a second, make sure he's safe, gets to a place where
he's fantastic.
He can still see what's going on, but remain safe. There's things flying. I don't need Ben getting hit in the head with anything when he's paying attention to the camera instead of what's around him.
And you know what's amazing? Again, when you hear from the mayor, the governor, all the officials saying it's the police, it's called. No, that's like blaming the girl who got raped. That's like blaming the dead body for being murdered. You don't blame the victim, and they want to blame the victim. Right now, they're supporting the criminal, who they hold up on a pedestal. This is the anointed one, the criminal element, and that's who they support. That's your Democrat Party, friends. Those are the people who are.
Great job.
I mean, there's just not enough force that they can use from me in this situation. There just is not enough.
That's what I said early on. I'm not a big,
Right.
I'm boiling over this, and I've absolutely had it like you guys have. It's just astounding. We'll go to the break, but I have way too much to say, and I'm.
All right, we'll take a quick 3 minutes. We'll get back. We'll see what we'll get back to Ben. We'll take as much of Ben as we can tonight, obviously, when there's action. But obviously, first and foremost, we want Ben to be safe, so we'll worry about that. 17 till the hour, live from Studio 6B, Real America's Voice. We're back right after this. We can put the picture up, Aaron, if we want to just keep whatever we're getting from him up so we can see it.
Show the guard over here.
Yeah, that was. It's just amazing how they flip the script on all of it. Marxism 101. Just accuse your opponent of doing what you're doing.
So let's go right here, and so you can shoot back and show the guard lined up right there.
The point I was going to make before, but how these people waving Mexican flags, waving Palestinian flags, communist flags, how are they making a case for themselves to stay here in this country? Our problem is your inability and your unwillingness to assimilate even a little. You know, we've seen it a million times. Muslims, they move to a country in jeans and they leave in burqas and jabs, right? They come in acting like they're part of the community and they leave. Look, you see in England, what is it, like 40-something mayors in England are Muslim? And we wonder why.
Let me hear. I'm sorry, Paul. Let me hear this, Darren. I just want to make sure it's clean. I don't want to pull Paul.
10-7, but if they do, just understand they are coming from the most unpleasant place in the Marine Corps. They're sending in pissed off Marines. They're already pissed. So they might send the Marines into the LA ICE protests. And let me tell you something. I hope that doesn't happen. I really do, man. Do you guys understand the Marines that they would send? They're Marines from 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines. You have any idea where that's at? That's in 29 Palms, California. You ever been out there? It's not the most pleasant place. Okay, so I know a lot of you guys are coming on here and you're going, oh man, you know, some of the Marines aren't going to listen. They're not going to follow orders. They're not going to go. Let me explain something really, really clearly to you. The overwhelming majority of those Marines will follow every single order that they're given. And that happens all the time anyways. I remember going to Iraq, Afghanistan, whatever the deployment is, you had Marines refuse to go. It happens all the time, actually, guys. I know you guys never hear of it, but it happens. Hell, I had a kid when we were in Afghanistan. He got in trouble for a negligent discharge because
All right.
There's a few more super chats, so we got to you want me to drag Black with another $10? I don't know if you guys saw this. Nope. P.S. Tell Delgado that Frederick Forsyth, author of The Day of the Jackal, just died. Fun fact, thought the Bruce Willis movie sucked. Watched the 1973 version. So drag Black.
Live from Studio 6B, Hour 1 on a Monday, brand new week. Glad you're in, everybody. Obviously, we're covering what's going on in California and obviously in Los Angeles. We have our own Ben Berquam on the ground. We'll get back to Ben here in a second if there's action. Delgado's here. He's going to do some news. Paul's got some news. But I just wanted to, I referenced this before because people saying this is unprecedented. President Trump is going over the line. None of this is necessary. We've never seen this before. All this crap from the media. We take you back to 1992, in same city, Los Angeles, different president, and here he was in a nighttime address from the Oval Office.
One is the urgent need to restore order. What followed when?
Didn't we LSU Patriot has a super chat. You want to get to that while we wait?
No, here it is.
One is the urgent need to restore order. What followed Wednesday's jury verdict in the Rodney King case was a tragic series of events for the city of Los Angeles. Nearly 4,000 fires, staggering property damage, hundreds of injuries, and the senseless deaths of over 30 people. To restore order right now, there are 3,000 National Guardsmen on duty in the city of Los Angeles. Another 2,200 stand ready to provide immediate support. To supplement this effort, I've taken several additional actions. First, this morning I've ordered the Justice Department to dispatch 1,000 federal riot-trained law enforcement officials to help restore order in Los Angeles, beginning tonight.
Federal.
These officials include FBI SWAT teams, special riot control units of the U.S. Marshals Service,